Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Sam here. We're doing the lift for the Grand Cherokee. As you can see here, it is here in the garage. We got a Old Man Emu kit from Rocky Road. And it is a 2.5-inch lift. Actually, it's a 2-inch lift, and it's the heavy-duty spring rate. So we're gonna start here on the driver's side. I've already got the wheels off and all that stuff. So you wanna go first. First thing you wanna do is jack up your vehicle, get your wheels off. You're gonna start on the driver's side because you have to take the fuse panel boxes and lay them over to the side because the strut bolts are on top of here. The passenger side is a lot easier because all you have to do is remove that tank out of the way. So we're gonna take the boxes out and lay them to the side so we can get access to the strut bolts.
Go.
Alright, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna remove your battery terminals because you have to get into the fuse box here. And so we're going to take a screwdriver and we're going to take these tabs and move them out of the way and try not to break them. There's two on the back as well. Oh, broke them. Oh my goodness, it's just breaking every tab. Take this one here, move it out of the way. You get the gist. So just remove these tabs, and then the whole thing will flip to the side. Okay, you're gonna have to, next step after you move all this stuff out of the way, so you can just get to these. You got two 10 millimeter, 1, 2, 3 bolt or nuts you have to get off to remove the tray that the used boxes sit on. So there's 3 10 millimeter bolts. One's at a weird angle right here. So just take these off and then you'll remove the tray so you can have access to the top of the strut bolt. Okay, we're going to be using a 21 to remove the bolt from the bottom of the A-arm, lower A-arm that holds the strut fork on. So this is a 21 millimeter. Let's see how this goes. What was that? That just broke. Broke the socket.
Wow.
Alright, so after, this is actually day 3 of this stuff. So after I broke my socket, I had to go get a new one. And then I decided I was going to try to do this side to get all the tips and tricks. That way I didn't have to struggle on camera. And then I ended up smashing my finger real good. So that was awesome. But as you can see, it is done on this side, and so I'll go to the other side and show how to do it step by step. I ended up having to take the brake caliper off so I could extend this all the way down because this bolt down here for the bracket would not, it's supposed to come out, but it did not come out. So I ended up having to do it the hardest way possible, and the sway bar is still disconnected, but we'll jump over to the other side and get it tore down. Okay, on the passenger side, you got to remove this engine coolant reservoir here. It's held on with a 8 millimeter right here, which I already got to, right there. And then it's got a little plastic thing like this that screws on there by hand tight, and then there's a like a notch right here, and you just lay this out of the way, and then you can get right to these strut bolts. So take this out. Also, there is a breather vent right here. You'll have to just move that out of the way. And you have access to your stuff. Okay. Alright, so first thing you're going to do is, actually, I took out my inner fender here. Get in here and show them. I took out the inner fender, a lot more room to work, especially if you're taking off your upper control arm, which I am. I'm replacing them with rough country or rocky road upper control arms, and you have to get to these bolts back here. So go ahead and take that out. It's held on by some plastic clips, no big deal. And then after that, you got a lot more room to work in there. So we're going to take off the sway bar bolt right here. It's an 18 millimeter. So we're just going to take the impact here. Maybe. Okay. The bar is detached. Okay, so we are taking the lower strut fork bolt out. It says it's a 21, but as you can see here, 21 does not fit. So we have a 15/16 here. 15/16. We're gonna take it out. Try to anyways. This is what didn't come out on the other side that I had to wrestle with. So the bolt came out, but you have to, after you take the bolt nut out, you are supposed to be able to hammer this through, because this is a through bolt. But what happens is, and you can actually tell if you can get in here a little closer. There's a bushing inside, and this vehicle has 200-some thousand plus miles on it, and they the bushing gets stuck on the bolt, and you can't cut it. You have to cut it out or whatever, and I'm not cutting that out. So we'll try to push it out, but if not, then we'll just do it the way I did it before. Alright, so the bolt will not come out. It's fused to the bushing, so that's fine. That's the way I had to do it on this side too. So next step is going to be taking the ABS sensor line that's right here, and you're going to be taking the clips out of it. There's one right here. This just folds over, and then you push this one out, and then on the back side of this strut down here, there's one, and it's got two little clips. You just get a pair of needle nose and press them down, and then just move this out of the way. And then on the other side. Alright, so after you get your wire taken off, you're going to be taking off your tie rod bolt. It is a 21 millimeter. I'm not done yet. I like to leave that on just a little bit, and then you take your hammer, and then like that. Okay. Alright, so next, after you get your lower ball joint off, you gotta take your upper control arm out right here, this bolt. So it's an 18 millimeter. If you can get up in there. Okay. Cut. Like that. Don't tell me it's broken. And then you're gonna need to hammer and hit it right here, 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 and it'll come right out. I like to leave the nut a couple threads in, that way it doesn't spring back towards you. Okay. Okay. There it goes. Done. Before you do the next step will be taking the strut off. I recommend taking your brake caliper off and setting it up to the side here because the line isn't really that long enough. As you can see here, it droops out a lot. So go ahead and take that off. That way you're not breaking a brake line here. It's easy to just stick it up here. It's 2 bolts, 2 10mm bolts, and it's cheap insurance to keep it from breaking. Before loosening your strut from the strut tower, it's a good idea to go ahead and remove this bolt that holds the fork onto the strut assembly. It's a 21mm. Mine was pretty stuck in there. Had to use an impact to get it off. But this holds the fork onto here, and how I'm doing this, how I'm gonna have to take this strut off, I need this off. So I'll show you a trick with this to spread it out, because you're gonna have to spread this fork out. All right, so now that we're done with that, you gotta take your strut nuts out. You got 4 of them right here. It's 18mm. Everything's dropping. All right, so you got to take 2 bolts out. One's right here, and then one's right here to get this upper control arm out. One side is a 15mm, and the other side's an 18. This is a 15 on the inside. On the outside, it's 18mm. It's really difficult to get any tools. Actually, this side has better access than the driver's side. The driver's side has barely any access. So you got to get in there and figure out a way to get a socket back in there and stuff like that. But once you get this removed, then the strut will come right out. So we'll get it removed here. All right, after a bunch of fighting, I finally got the strut out. I had to hit it with a hammer. I had to take the strut bolt and run it back the other way to spread it out. It's a real pain in the butt if you can't get the lower fork bolt out, which I can't get it out. So basically you have to disassemble the strut fork from the strut on the vehicle. Pain in the butt. My advice is get a bunch of WD-40 or with your favorite penetrant oil, PUS or whatever, and just soak it with it. Take a big old hammer and just beat the living crap out of your strut like I did here. Wiggle it back and forth until it comes out. And then now we are finally done disassembling, and we can now finally assemble this thing. So I'm going to show you the differences between my control arms that I got and the shocks, and then the struts, and then we'll get to reassembling. Okay, here is the new Old Man Emu lift spring strut. Rocky Road offers the option to have it fully installed, or completely. It's a strut assembly basically, instead of having to just buy the strut and the spring separately. It gives you all new stuff, so I went ahead and got that. I think it's a $200 option for that for both of them, so you don't have to deal with spring compressors and none of that stuff. Also, too, Rocky Road offers this strut spacer, because Old Man Emu still retains that factory rake, so they get rid of that with this strut spacer. And then here are the Rocky Road upper control arms. As you can tell from these are the stock upper control arms. Rocky Road offers a rebuild or serviceable ball joint. These are not, these are junk. And that's pretty much it. So we'll have to put the upper control arm kind of up there for, we'll have to put the strut in there kind of first, and then kind of just like lay it up in there, and then have it loose, and then put the upper control arm bolts through, because you can't get to the bolts with the strut in there really. So I'll get to that, and then we'll be on our way. All right, a little jumping time here. I got the strut mounted back into the fork. Just use some, I like to use some grease to grease it up real good. Spread it out as much as you can, and then just wiggle it down in there and it goes right in. Bolted it back in here. And so now you have to get this in and kind of push it into position up here. I use the jack to get it to stay up there. And then you got to put your upper control arm in. Have to use a pry bar to kind of pry this area so you can slide it right in there. The two bolts go right here, and then right here. Rocky Road sends these misalignment or shims, and they go right in here, in this area right here, on the actual outer side, and then that's it. So it's a real pain to get all this stuff in there. You gotta like move stuff around, kind of temporarily put stuff in, and then take it back out and put it back in. But that's the best way I know how to do it. This is my first time to know how to do it, so if you know a better way, make sure to leave that down in the comments below, because this is my first time doing it. And yeah, so I'm learning as I go. Hopefully I can help you all out. But let me put these, I gotta have free hands here, so let me go ahead and get the upper control arm mounted back into its position, and then we'll move on to the next step. And that's gonna be it for that. So after you get your strut fully installed and your ball joint fully installed, then you're gonna redo your tie rod in, and I had to put my brake caliper back on because I took it off. That way I could droop the suspension all the way out. And then you put your sway bar links back on, and then reinstall all this stuff in the engine bay, your reservoir and your intake and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to do one more thing before I am completely done. I'm gonna have to take this pinch weld here, and I'm gonna have to cut some sections out of it and lay it back. That way it doesn't get into the tire. So that's the next thing I'm gonna be doing, and then I'll be moving on to the back. All right, so if you're doing the pinch weld mod here, as they call it, I'm gonna be using a saw, or you can use a grinder or whatever. But I'm gonna be cutting between the spot welds here, and then up to about probably right in here area. And then I think I'm gonna fold them back this way. We'll see when we get to that point. But so I'm gonna take my saw and I'm just gonna cut in between the spot welds and then lay it back. All right, as you can see, I took my saw and I cut strips out of it, and then I just took the hammer and I laid it back as flush as it could go. Key here is just don't have any sharp, pointy metal objects that's gonna stab your tire. Hopefully it doesn't even come back that far. I had the tire on the other side and it didn't touch, so this is just a precaution. to give me some more room. I'm gonna try to put my fender liner back in it, and so at that point it'll be, the liner will be between that and this. So I'm gonna just finish doing this and then lay some paint on there so it doesn't rust, because it's got bare metal now. And then we'll be complete with the other side, with this side. And then we'll finish, we'll do the exact same thing on the other side, and then try to figure out how to get my sway bar back on. The sway bar does not want to come back on, so duplicate this on the other side and then we'll be done with the front. All right, as you can see, I hit it with a little bit of black paint just to keep it from rusting, and then that's it. That should be it. I'm gonna have to put the inner fender well back in. This little piece right here, down here, I'm gonna have to do something with this because that's where the pinch weld was. I've seen people try to like heat them, push them back. I've seen people just cut them out. So I'll have to figure out a thing to do with that, but that's later on down the road. Right now I gotta finish doing the back. I gotta do the back now, so, and figure out how to get that sway bar butt on. So, but after this, you just go back, like I said, put all your stuff back on, make sure you go through and bolt check your stuff. Put all this back on, put your 310mm nuts back on here, clip these back in. Like I said, bolt check everything. Go through, make sure all your stuff is tight. And yeah, that's it. So let's get this thing set up here and then go to the back. All right, as you can see, we're onto the back now. So the back is should be a lot easier. How do I just said that? Because it's probably not gonna be. All you have to do on this one is disconnect this sway bar bolt, which is an 18mm. And then they want you to disconnect the lower shock. That way you can droop it out, change out the spring. So we'll do that now. 18mm socket for this, and not for that. That is not 18, so we'll get the right socket here and move on. All right, as you can see, we drooped it out. It was a 16mm socket for that, so we got that out. And here's the new Old Man Emu shock. I got the heavy duty version, so this is actually for almost 1,000 more pounds of payload, and you get a little bit of lift, but the spring rate's where you want it, is where it's at. So we're gonna try to snake these back in here. If you can tell, I don't know if you can or not, but my bump stop is literally broken, rusted in half, but I really don't have nothing to replace it with, so I'm just keep moving on. So it literally just came right out. So hopefully this other one will go right back in. All right, so I got it done here. The passenger side was the worst side. I had to actually take the upper control arm right here. I had to take the bolt out of it right there because it kept hitting on the gas skid to compress or to get the spring all the way down. So springs are in both sides. Now just to put the shock back on, and then this will be done. The back was actually easier, but there's a lot less stuff to do. So let's get the shocks put on and then wrap this thing up. All right, so that's it. Once you get the coils in there and you get your, make sure you tighten up all your bolts here. Look, I got a bolt undone, and your sway bar. Make sure you go back and do a bolt check. Make sure everything's back in place. See if you got any wires that are going to be rubbing or anything like that. But that's that. The back was easier, but I did not do as much as the front. The front I can really completely change the struts and the upper control arms. Let me tighten this up, and then I'll show you what it looks like all lifted and stuff. All right, so it's done now. This is gonna be the first official drive and try to back it out. So we'll see what happens. I need to go in there and mess with the settings for the tire diameter and stuff like that, but I'll do that once I back it out. I gotta get it out of this garage. So, let's do that. Well, there it is, folks. 2-inch lift, heavy duty springs, 285/75 Bfg Km3s on AEV Painter Wheels. I know a lot of WK people were asking if you could actually fit the 285/75s on a 2-inch lift, but if you do the Pinch Weld Mod right there, I mean, you probably don't even have to do the Pinch Weld Mod, but fits perfectly fine. So give you a little walk around here. It was a pain, but it's done. So boom. Ride's good. I mean, ride's a little stiff, but that's what you're gonna expect from a heavy-duty lift like this. So ride's a little stiff. I don't really mind it though, and ride's good actually. Ride's better than before because all those struts and shocks were blown out. So. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment below if you got a WK. What should I do to it next? I think I'm gonna do maybe a snorkel. I know I gotta fix the lights and stuff too. I got a laundry list of stuff to be doing on this thing, but wow, what a struggle this lift was. So hopefully with me sharing this, it'll help you out in doing your lift. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you in the next one.